Am I the asshole for telling my daughter, 15, she is not autistic in front of her friends? My daughter is one of the most well-adjusted and socially adept people I have met. She has organized her own birthday parties, excelled at debate team and the feminist roundtable club at her school where she organized a fundraiser for at-risk young women. I'm beyond proud of her. She is an incredible person and I truly feel the sky is the limit for her. However, she has recently made a friend group who I believe is not great for her. 3 people, 2 are non-binary and 1 girl, and all of them claim to be autistic. I guess this has rubbed off on my daughter because now she is also claiming to be autistic. My sister is following her on TikTok and I guess she posts stimming videos and other things. She has given me zero evidence before this point to even entertain the notion that she is autistic. I truly never even considered it until she met these friends. This leads me to believe it is made up. I have noticed that these friends are causing her to distance herself from her other friends that encouraged a more healthy lifestyle, friends she met in feminist roundtable for example, who I really liked. She does not really do anything anymore but sit in her room and make videos with these friends about autism. It's really strange and has me feeling pretty bad. The other day her and her friends were in the kitchen and my daughter said something along the lines of, she wouldn't understand because she isn't autistic, about a classmate. I calmly stated after she said this that she is not autistic either, has self-diagnosed, and shouldn't patronize people by claiming that she is autistic as it is inappropriate to people who actually struggle. She got furious and stomped up to her room. Her friends followed. She's not talking to me anymore. Am I the asshole for calling out my daughter? Edit. Thanks very much for your thoughtful responses. I made an appointment with a psychiatrist for next week for formal evaluation, and apologized to her for my poorly timed comment. Autism doesn't look the same in everyone, especially girls. She most likely isn't, but you could get her checked out for official proof. Not the asshole. Even if your intention is clearly innocent, it can be interpreted as when someone says, you don't have depression, it feels derogatory of one's experience. I suggest starting an autism and ADHD investigation to see if your daughter really has the diagnosis or is just trying to be relevant. Could be that she is masking. Masking is a strategy used by some autistic people, consciously or unconsciously, to appear non-autistic in order to blend in and be more accepted in society. I would also pay attention to your daughter's behavior with her new group of friends. Not the asshole. But this seems to be a new trend lately, and I think as a society we are screwed. You are right to call out her bullshit. I have no idea why it suddenly became cool to be autistic or ADHD. I happen to be ADHD and I have a son who is actually autistic, and we have real struggles. And the biggest thing is that we don't use it as an excuse for anything, nor do we even bring it up in conversation. Your daughter seems to think autism is a club. That in and of itself is evidence that she isn't autistic. I am going to take my daughter in for a formal evaluation. I really can't stress enough that she has shown no symptoms of autism her whole life. No discomfort, no social problems, no evidence that she is masking and the mask is slipping. I am very close to my daughter and she has not one time expressed any sort of autistic tendencies before she met these friends. She is well adjusted, makes friends very easily, and has never indicated any kind of struggle socially or educationally. It bothers me above all things that her peers are encouraging her to make her life harder for no reason. She isn't showing up for her clubs or planning events or being herself. Info. Have you made an appointment to take her to her doctor and get an assessment to get an actual diagnosis or clarification on this? Or are you simply assuming she can't be autistic? Not the asshole, the dreaded TikTok self-diagnosis. I find it so interesting how it is suddenly cool to autistic. We have a generation of kids who desperately want a diagnosis of some sort. Get her formally assessed. I suspect that if the psychologist says she isn't, daughter may say that the psychologist is wrong. It seems this friend group has a strong hold. Am I the asshole for calling my husband selfish for eating a massive bowl of cereal? Throw away because this feels so ridiculously petty, I can't believe I'm asking it. Our kid, 6, has a favorite cereal which is a branded chocolate hoop cereal. When full price it is 100% out of our budget and so we are almost never able to buy it and we buy her the cheap own brand alternative, which she likes, but isn't anywhere near as good. But when it's 3x cheaper, you make do. We went shopping a few weeks ago, and to my happiness they had 2 boxes of her preferred brand massively reduced to clear, making them cheaper than the own brand. So I bought them. She was thrilled. We've been gradually getting through it. I try to limit how much sugary cereal she has anyway, so generally she'll have a bowl of Shreddies or Bran Flakes or similar and put the chocolate cereal on top. She's happy to do this because it makes the cereal last longer. We just opened the second box a couple of days ago. Well, this morning, my husband joined us for breakfast. Normally he wakes before us and so has already eaten before we wake up. He then poured himself a huge bowl full of the chocolate cereal. I was stunned, and immediately asked him what he was doing, and was he seriously eating that much. Here is where I am probably an asshole. I shouldn't have commented in front of our kid. But he took me by surprise and I wasn't thinking. He shrugged and said yeah, that it was a normal amount of cereal to eat. He'd run out of his cereal, and it wasn't a big deal. He also said he'd done the exact same thing yesterday. Having checked, I'd estimate he's had at least 1/3 of the entire box over those 2 bowls. I got annoyed and said that was unreasonable and kind of selfish. While he has every right to eat as much food as he wants, and has every right to eat whichever cereal he wants, I think having a huge bowl of expensive cereal which was bought as a treat for our daughter is completely unreasonable. I asked him why on earth he couldn't have mixed it with cheap cereal to bulk out his bowl because this particular cereal is unaffordable usually. He made a comment about that box being gotten on offer so it wasn't expensive, and when I argued that it wasn't the point, that buying another box of it would be expensive, he said, "Then we just won't buy another box." Our kid got upset, and then my husband snapped at me for saying anything in front of her, that it was my fault. Our kid was upset, and said that I had now ruined his day. He sulkily ate his gigantic bowl and then stormed off to our room in a huff. He also said that he earns most of our money so he can eat what he wants. Yes, he earns more, but we haven't agreed upon food budget. If he wants to buy expensive cereal with his own money then he can be my guest, but he spends his money on other things and this cereal came out of our family food budget. Am I the asshole for calling him out for eating so much? Too long did not read. Husband ate 1/3 box of expensive cereal which was unofficially bought for our daughter. He is angry that I called him selfish for doing so. ETA. Because a few people brought it up in the comments. Yes, husband was fully aware this is daughter's favorite and was bought as a treat for her. The reason I said, unofficially, is because it was bought out of the family budget, and wasn't like a reward or something. Not because he was unaware of the situation. ETA 2. The box is supposed to contain 14 servings. Because she rations it, it usually lasts 3 or 4 weeks having it every day. ETA 3. Our grocery budget for the 3 of us is about £40 £50 a week, approximately $50.65 according to Google. I don't see how I could possibly cut anything out. Not the asshole but his, I earn more, and the implied, so F you and my daughter, sure makes him an asshole in my book. When money is tight or just needs to be budgeted, good parents often make do less to ensure their growing kids' needs, and occasional wants, are met. Many people can tell you as they got older, they realized their parents had been letting their kids eat most of the meatballs and drink the milk while they lived off the pasta and plain water. In my humble opinion, your husband should be ashamed of himself. Not the asshole. Yeah, it's incredibly selfish behavior. I seriously don't get why he didn't think about his kid first. A lot of husbands seem to have this problem. It's like they think it's every man for themselves because it's only mom's job to put their kid first. Not the asshole. He's setting a bad example. If you get your kid to stretch good things out, he should do it, too. Otherwise she's getting penalized for doing the right thing. Yes, life is like that sometimes but shouldn't be within a family. Your husband was being selfish and also undermining your parenting by setting himself above the rules. It was important for your daughter to hear it called out instead of learning to be a doormat or that other people matter more. Not the asshole. You didn't attack him. He attacked you and tried to blame you for his actions. He didn't even care if your daughter gets to have her favorite cereal ever again. His, "I make more money than you," line was disgusting. That's a first little red flag. Not the asshole. My dad did that all the time. We were on a tight budget and often only ate bread and butter or bread and marmalade. Without butter or margarine. He would eat meat spreads and eggs in front of us and even tease us with it. He was the breadwinner, so my mom was worth nothing. He has not changed his view. It is one of the core memories of my childhood. I still resent my dad for it, among other things. But the food stuff was pretty bad. Not the asshole from me and my husband, who got the abridged version. We're going to have a baby in a few months and neither of us could imagine buying a treat for her and gobbling it up for ourselves. Then to shrug it off and say, well, I guess kiddo just doesn't get to have it again was petty and rude. Edited for honesty. We wouldn't touch a special, expensive treat. If a couple of lollies go missing from her Halloween haul, or a nibble off a chocolate Easter bunny, she probably wouldn't even notice. Am I the asshole for making my lesbian daughter's children blankets? Throwaway account. Basically I, 52F, have 3 daughters, Anne, 30F, Carrie, 26F, and Jane, 20F. All fake names. When all my girls turned 18, I made them a special blanket. I then made 3 swaddle blankets out of the same materials for their future children. Carrie told me not to because she didn't want kids. I found out later it was because she's a lesbian. I said okay, but made them just in case. Earlier this year, Carrie married her lovely wife, Rory, 28F. Her amazing daughter Diane, 5F, is my third grandchild. I approached Rory and asked if I could give her one of the blankets I made for Carrie's kids, or if she wanted me to make one special for her out of the materials I used to make their wedding living room blanket. I always give these out on the day they're born, so for Diane I plan on giving it on her birthday and was explaining that to her. She told me to ask Diane. I did, and Carrie overheard. I found out that she's pregnant because she was crying and yelling that I didn't respect her wishes, so how can she trust me with her baby? I'm just so confused and hurt. I was trying to do something nice for all my girls, and then my sweet Diane. Instead of being happy I was cautious. Carrie is threatening to go low contact because I don't respect her and am obviously homophobic because how else would I have thought she'd get pregnant, which is very confusing. Rory is telling me it's hormones and that Carrie is emotional because of how hard it was to get pregnant. I didn't know they had been trying, and that she's afraid she's going to lose it. Am I the asshole? I was trying to be kind. I wasn't being homophobic or trying to be disrespectful. Edit. I don't know if it's relevant, but I still have material from the blankets for patching, so I was planning on adding to Diane's to make it big enough to use, or I was going to let her have it fit her baby dolls. That's what my other two granddaughters do now that it's too small for them. Edit 2. I didn't know Carrie was a lesbian until she was 23. I had made all the blankets by the time she was 19. Not the asshole, and I'm a lesbian. If I'm reading this right, you didn't even know that was why she said she didn't want kids at the time you made the blanket. Plus, I am obviously homophobic because how else would I have thought she'd get pregnant? Makes zero sense. Presumably you were aware that sperm donation existed. This is really confusing, but I'm pregnant, and in the first 3 months I was really, something. Was kind of a lot. My poor husband. Maybe give her a little space right now. Maybe put the blankets away. Don't know why she's triggered by blankets. Hold on to the blankets and maybe she will come to see them for what they are, which is a really thoughtful gift. Tell her you love her, you're happy for her, and you'll talk when she's ready? You wanted to show her partner's child she was part of the family. That is so lovely. This is clearly a miscommunication. You're definitely not the asshole. If she continues to yell about stuff, maybe give her even more space. Nah, I think this is all a big misunderstanding. Personally, I feel you did the right thing by preparing ahead just in case. It's not homophobic, it was just a bit of foresight that your child might want to adopt children of her own one day, regardless of sexuality. I think if she calms down a little, she might be able to reassess. Maybe just having a gentle and honest talk about it with her wife as the mediator might help? It seems like her wife is not as offended and might understand and be able to act as a buffer. Be careful and give her a lot of grace. Especially when the hormones die down and the baby is born, she might genuinely understand what you were trying to do. It can genuinely change everything between a mother and daughter. Not the asshole. Sometimes people can't exit survival mode and it's hard for them to receive full acceptance. It's probably something else in her childhood that made her feel rejected that she is tying to her sexuality. You might want to pick calmer times to ask if there's anything she wants to talk about that she's been carrying with her and afraid to share. Not the asshole. It seems like Carrie is being a bit dramatic. Your intentions were good, so don't beat yourself up. Maybe apologize to her and reassure her that you support her. Does she not see the child as her daughter? You're not being homophobic at all. Am I the asshole for asking my roommates to stop having overnight guests? I, 21 male, rent a place with 2 other guys, 22M and 21M, in college. I am not close with either roommate, and the only reason we live together is because a mutual friend helped us both get connected. I didn't have a place to rent for the semester, and neither did they. Over the past month, the roommates Alex and Connor have had overnight guests 3 times so far. Ordinarily I wouldn't mind if they just visited for the evening, but their guests take up the entire living room and kitchen and I feel as though I cannot even leave my room to go downstairs. Not only that, but they are somewhat loud, and I always get blocked in the driveway, which is a huge pain when leaving for work. Alex also tells them to use our bathroom to shower in the mornings, so I have to wait like over a half hour just to get ready. The first time they were having people over, no one bothered to tell me, so when I got home in the late night hours, I work part-time as a delivery driver and got off work late. I walked in to see like 3 random people asleep on the living room couch. And being as late and dark as it was, I was not expecting to see people there. Also, I asked Connor the next day to please tell me when they planned to have people over next, and he didn't even seem to care that I felt trapped to my room or that they blocked my car in. Since then, they've had guests over twice more, and I guess technically he tells me beforehand, but only like an hour or 2 prior. I really just do not at all like having random people over, and I am frustrated that this is like the 3rd time in the past month that it keeps happening, and I know it will only continue. The guests, while being all loud too, Always end up staying the entire day the next day, and it is always on the weekends, so I can never enjoy any peace and quiet on the very few days I don't have class or work. I really want to say something to the roommates, but I know they will just say I'm overreacting and that it's not a big deal. Am I the asshole for getting furious at them for always having random people over, even though I never voice my frustration? I'd suggest some house rules. Guests can stay over but not in communal areas, e.g., they share the bedroom of flatmate. Flatmates get first priority with bathroom over guests, except in the case of emergencies. Guests that stay for longer than X days contribute to costs of household at X amount per day. These are some of the house rules we have. Buy an air horn. If your car gets blocked in, blow the horn and wake up the whole house to move one car. If someone is in the bathroom when you want it, blow the horn to get them out. If they're making too much noise, show them you can make noise too by blowing the horn until they quiet down. Bro, it's college and your roommates are trying to get the most out of their college experience. You have the right to say something to them, but don't be surprised if they laugh at you and continue their behavior. Most likely you're just gonna have to suck it up until the lease is over and find roommate that are more like you. Not the asshole. That sounds very frustrating. For what it's worth, if you are in housing focused towards college students, there are often rules in the lease about guests. Might be worth having a look at if things continue. Having random ass people stay the night in the living room is crazy LMFAO. Not the asshole, but you need to speak up for yourself and start being more assertive about your own space. Tell them to keep it down when they start being loud. Use the communal spaces even if they're there. Asleep or not, it's your space you pay for. Tell them to stop blocking your car. Knock on the bathroom door when they take too long in there. They don't live there, you do, and you shouldn't have to accommodate random people that don't respect your living space. 3 times in a month isn't all that crazy. I think this is a pretty common college experience. I totally get it because I'm an introvert, so I need to come home and recharge in peace, but I don't think I'd expect peace in a shared housing situation with college kids. Just discuss it with them like, hey guys, can we just figure something out that works for all of us, like choose one night a week for overnight guests and have them set up on blow-up beds in their rooms and park on the street?